This question states, 8% of what number is 16? So before we start this problem, we need to identify what is the percent, what is the base, and what is the amount. So I have here percent times base is equal to the amount. So we know that the percent is going to be 8%. The base is going to be the number that we don't know, and we're going to indicate that as n, and the amount is 16. So in this case, it's going to be 8% times n is equal to 16. So now that we know that percent times base equals the amount, and we have identified that 8% times a number is equal to 16, I'm going to rewrite this 8% to be a decimal. So in this case, 8% is going to equal to 0.08 times n is equal to 16. So now that I have identified it, I'm going to find out what this number is going to be. So I'm going to solve for n, meaning I'm going to put n on one side and everything else on the opposite side. So we have 0.08 times n is equal to 16. I'm going to divide both sides by 0.08. So I divided this side by 0.08. They're going to cancel each other out, leaving me with n. And 16 divided by 0.08. Let's do that in long division. So I have it set up in long division, 0.08 divided into 16. But I don't like working with decimals, and I'm sure you guys don't either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert 0.08 into a whole number. So I'm going to move the decimal 2 points over to make it an 8. And if I move the decimal point 2 points over, that means I have to move this decimal point 2 points over. So if I move it 2 points over, this makes it an 8. And if I move this 2 points over, it makes it a 1,600. And therefore, we can make it a little bit easier dividing with whole numbers. So 2 times 8 is going to give us 16. 16 subtracted by 16 is going to give us 0. So from here we have what times 8 gives me 0. That's going to be 0. And what the next number is going to be what times 8 is also going to give me 0. That's going to be 0. So what this means is that 8 can go into 1,600 200 times, which also means that 0.08 can go into 16 200 times, which means that we have found out what n is equal to, which is 200. So 8% of what number is 16? The final answer is going to be 200. This question states, 105 is what percent of 70? Now when I'm looking at this problem, it's a percent times base equals amount problem. So we're going to identify what is the percent, what is the amount, and what is the base. So in this case, 105 is going to be the amount. The percent, we're not sure. We're going to represent it as n, and 70 is our base. So I put n as our percentage, 70 as our base, and 105 as our amount. From here, I'm going to find out what n is, so I'm going to solve for it. So I'm going to divide both sides by 70. This 70 is going to cancel out this 70, leaving me with n on this side. And it's going to be 105 divided by 70, and we're going to do that as a long division problem. So 70 divided into 105, 1 times 70 is going to give me 70. 105 subtracted by 70 is going to give us 35. I'm going to bring down a decimal. I'm going to bring down a 0 beyond the decimal point. So what times 70 is going to give me 350? That's going to be 5. 5 times 70 gives me 350. 350 subtracted by 350 is going to give me 0. So in this case, 7 goes into 105 1.5 times. Now, we found out that n is equal to 1.5. Now, here's the thing. 1.5 isn't our final answer. It's not the percent. It is actually the decimal. So how do I convert a decimal into a percent? What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this decimal by 100. So if I multiply this by 100, 1.5 times 100 is going to give me 150%. So in this case, 1 of 5 is what percent of 70? That number is 150%. And that's going to be my final answer.